Welcome back to another episode of Street Tales. In this episode, I sat down with Mike Morgan, a 30-year law enforcement veteran that spanned from Atlanta, Georgia, back up to Suffolk County, New York. He talks about how he got into it, his upbringing, his family. He talks about the highs and lows of being in the law enforcement career. He also explores his addiction to opioids that hindered him, shall we say, and even his journey on the way out of law enforcement and how he felt the agency itself tried to kind of kick him while he was already on the way out. Throughout this episode, we love the profession. It's a brave and noble profession in law enforcement. Mike has got his own show. He's the host and owner of Resilient Warrior Nation. He's passionate with that, but we're not knocking the profession. We're just knocking the level of training and understanding that is being conveyed to the young men and women who are volunteering and raising their hand to go protect their communities all over the country. Mike is brave in the sense that he is very humble, very open, vulnerable with his journey. He talks about how the first time he actually cried on camera and how the social media world is new to him, which I fully understand. But also he's open to trying new things. Ayahuasca. He's going to be trying ibogaine, therapy, his mental health journey, his fitness journey. Mike is out here doing the Lord's work. He's trying to do his best to help young men and women, and not just in law enforcement, but also in the military, his experiences in law enforcement. Let them know that they're not alone and that it's not abnormal what you're going through, what's happening. I enjoyed my time. I learned a lot. I'm going to have him back on. He was throwing a lot of things at me, and I'm trying to get better at not asking questions before I fully thought them through. I hope you enjoy this episode. And a big shout out and a thank you to Mike, and appreciate his time. Welcome back, everybody. Today I've got Mike Morgan, host, owner, creator, the Resilient Warrior Nation. Quick little side note, Doug White and Lil Barkowski both been on the show. We're like, you got to talk to this guy, Mike. And I never put the two together, but I was actually following Mike for quite some time, and I never put the two together just because I enjoyed the content he put out. And so then when I was like, I got to go see what this guy's doing, I was like, I'm already following what he's doing. I'm happy to have you on. It's kind of a small world for me because I'm like, I have somebody who I follow now on my show.
Fantastic, brother. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. Someone recently told me, former Navy SEAL, I said, small world. He's like, nope, just big people. I'm like, I like that, brother.
Hey, bro.
Chris Wiley, I got to give you credit for that.
Shout out, baby.
Navy, Museum, Michael Murphy Navy Museum, Long Island.
I saw that episode as well. And I loved it.
Great dude.
Because that was the one where you did it there, right, on site?
Let me see.
There was one in like a big hangar.
That was Jeff Gum. So his episode's going to drop. Yeah, I had like a preview. That was actually his house. Him and Taj Larson live in Fort Lauderdale on the water.
That's his house?
Sick house. Yeah, that's his gym. It's a converted gym. It is sweet.
I thought you were like on a military base in their hangar, bro. That's his house? Well,
that's his house, brother. Yeah, they're doing well.
I'm trying to get to that level.
Yeah. And Taj, literally, they were talking about his yacht that he just purchased because he sold one of his businesses, I guess, a couple of days before. So they were talking about the yacht arriving. I'm like, did you say yacht? Well, Jeff just started laughing. He's like, yeah, this is a serious yacht. I'm like, God bless you guys, man.
Hot damn, bro.
Nicest guys in the world.
I love that. I love hearing that. Like, nice dudes doing good work and be successful. Do it. Yep. I love it. We're going to get into 30-year career, Atlanta, Suffolk County. I'm very fascinated. We kind of talked a little bit offline about your mental health journey and the things that you're doing, but I'm trying not to put the cart before the horse. I just want to get into where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up? What kind of led you into the path of law enforcement?
Sure. I grew up in North Belmore, Long Island, which is a suburb of...
You're from New York, Bro?
Yeah, that's subtle accent. Okay. I know it fools a lot of people. I need to hire a dialect coach, man. This thing is ridiculous. Coffee, car, it is ridiculous. So, we were about 45 minutes outside of Manhattan by train, South Shore on Long Island, middle-class suburb. My dad was a fireman for the FDNY, and my mom was a secretary in the local elementary school district. I have a sister 2 years younger than I. Normal upbringing. I'll touch on it later. Definitely experienced, I never had a good relationship with my father, and there was definitely more so verbal abuse than physical. We all got hit when we were kids, that generation, but
yeah, we did.
Definitely more verbal, and it was heaped upon me. I thought it was normal, but now that I've started this healing journey and really gone introspective, I realized that it was not. We never had a relationship. I was very much into sports, so he was He was always hypercritical, even at sports. I mean, I made all-star team in every sport I played. We had gone to his firehouse when I was a teenager, and one of the guys that I had gotten introduced to I'd never met before, and in meeting each other, he's like, "Hey, your father talks about you all the time in sports," and I literally went, "Me?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "He talks about me?" And this guy didn't even catch it. And, probably 14, 15 at that time, I'm like, man, he never says, never like, I'm proud of you, never any accolades to me. And in talking to my wife, she's been in this higher consciousness thing for years. She's a life coach and very intelligent. We were talking about it one day and she's like, well, you know why that is? I'm like, no. She's like, your father was a narcissist. And by talking about you, your accolades to others, it makes him look good. I'm like, oh, it clicked like right then and there. I'm like, wow, I never realized that. That is 100% true.
Yeah,
and that's what it was.
That's right. I just called that 70s parenting. Right? But maybe, I'm tracking what you're saying. But so what sports did you play? I'm interested in that.
Baseball was definitely one of my big sports. Hockey was my biggest. I played throughout college. Went through college, played at Hofstra. Fun fact, John Cooper, the coach of Tampa Bay Lightning, and I were teammates for 1 year.
Okay.
He played lacrosse at Hofstra, was a D1 lacrosse school. He exhausted 4 years of eligibility, got his master's. So although we were a club team, we played a few Division III teams. There's only Division I and Division III in ice hockey in college.
Okay.
And so we were teammates for a year. He was a great guy. He was actually a really good ice hockey player. And if you remind me later, I'll tell you, I can't tell this one on the air, but just ask me about the swinger story.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say hockey is a new thing for me. I grew up in Florida, the South. Football, basketball, baseball were like the big ones. Soccer, maybe. But lacrosse, field hockey, all these other sports, I didn't really understand that till I moved up to New England. And I was like, hockey's up there, maybe even harder than football. I don't know, because they knock the shit out of each other on state. So anyway, tip of the cap on that one. All right. So wait, did you go to college in Hofstra?
Yeah, I went to college at Hofstra, got an accounting degree in 91.
Yeah, that's what I want to touch on. Accounting for law enforcement. Well, go ahead, continue.
So I'll just lead into it. I think this was a leading question. So I graduated, got my first job in Manhattan. First day, I'm commuting into the city on Long Island Railroad. I am flat as could be. Kind of can't figure it out. I'm like, this is the first day of the rest of my life, new career starting, just embarking on new horizons. And I feel nothing. So I go in there, I'm introduced to various associates, bosses. I'm given a task about 11 a.m. And literally next thing I know, I wake up, my head was in my hand. I'm like, whoa, I get up. I had gotten introduced. The guy that was next to me, who was kind of just above me, was not a guy that I hit it off with too well. So I go talk to another kid in another cubicle who seemed great. I'm like, hey, bro, you like this stuff? He's like, fuck no, I hate it. I'm like, there's no way I'm sitting in a cubicle the next 30, 35 years of my life, making no difference to anyone.
Yeah.
No one's going to know whether I lived or died other than my close friends and family. So before lunch on my first day, I'm like, already, this career was not for me. And I just went introspective and really started thinking about what I wanted to do in my life.
How old were you? How old were you at that point?
23. I was on a 5-year program for college.
All right. 23. Okay. Anything in between that job and then, because you ended up going down to Georgia, which is unique to me. My experience has been people from New York stay in New York, or more specifically Long Island, whatever it is. They figure it out how to stay out there. And so you left.
Yeah. A lot are leaving now, but when I was there, because it's so expensive, a lot of kids back then stayed. But I was looking, I wanted to apply with the FBI. They were on a federal hiring freeze back in 91. I think it lasted till 97-ish. So when one door closes, another one opens. I was introduced to a buddy's brother of mine. Yeah, a friend of mine's brother, I should say. He was working for Pan Am. They had gone bankrupt. Delta picked up his welding shop. Delta's headquartered in Atlanta, so they offered everyone a job. You just had to move to Atlanta. He did. Yeah. He was telling me how much he loved it. It was young, vibrant city. They built it up. The Olympics this was now in 92, so the Olympics were 4 years from then. He just bought a 3-bed, 2-bath property, half acre, built-in pool, $100,000. I'm like, yo, bro, I have to go check it out because I want to get out of New York anyway. I'll get some police experience, and then when FBI starts hiring again, I'll go on with them. So this was September. I went down in November, took all the tests in 1 week, and I was hired the following August of 93, drove down. I was a recruit for the first 2 months. So what they'll do is they'll hire you. You'll go and do some basic paperwork job in one of the divisions in the department. And then once they have enough people to class up, you guys start your academy class, which we did in early November, and then got out in probably mid-April.
That's actually a good idea. Usually they just keep you hanging until they fill the class, but that's actually not a bad way to get you going.
Yeah, I will say this. Out of trouble, I think.
I will say this. I seeing some similarities between us because I was in banking for Wachovia, and then they got bought out by Wells Fargo, and they booted everybody. And I was like, I'm either going to join the military or the FBI. And I went to the FBI, not around, it was a little bit later, but they were also in a freeze. And the recruiter said, you need to boost up your resume. You need to get a master's degree, and you should get some law enforcement experience. Funny enough, that led me into working for Hillsborough County. I did get my master's degree. They called me. I ended up going to work. This is all, I'm just giving you the summary version. 5 years with the Hillsborough County Sheriff. I left, went to the FBI. I made it 9 weeks. They didn't like my push-ups. I've already talked about it on the show. But it's interesting to hear some of the similarities because you were like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to get some law enforcement experience. That's exactly what I did.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing the way it works out. Very similar paths.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So how long were you in it? And maybe I'm confusing the two. Atlanta PD is different than Suffolk County?
Yeah, Suffolk is back in New York. So I was Atlanta from August of 93 until on the books, November of 03. I left there actually in October 03, went back to New York, and I got hired with Suffolk County PD, which looking back now, I don't know if I should have made the move. They were pretty much the highest paid job in the nation. My family was back in New York. We weren't tight by any stretch of the imagination, but I was trying to be the good son, go back by my family. I started a police fire hockey team in Georgia and Atlanta that became pretty big. We raised like $160,000 in 3 years. We had become a 501(c)(3). We had like a $40,000 a year budget. We had hosted FDNY in April 02 after 9/11 and after our Thrashers game. There was like 8,000 to 10,000 people that stayed. I mean, it was actually a great, great team and just a great venture. So I missed that greatly when I left. I did what I did and moved back to New York in 03.
All right. Well, let's talk about your time in Atlanta because I spent time in Marietta, Georgia as a kid. And then I've worked in Atlanta. I've traveled to Atlanta. I have buddies that live in Atlanta. It's a very unique city in my opinion, but I was never a cop there. So tell me what that was like for you.
It was nuts. So,
yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's hot and fast into the law enforcement world.
It was nuts. Literally the first day out of the academy. So we finish on a Monday. We don't graduate until field training ends. So that next day we start field training.
Yeah.
I was assigned to Midnight's Zone 3, which used to be right next to the zoo, was our precinct. And so I started 11 p.m. By 12 a.m., I was at my first homicide scene. Great story, actually. So it's an Atlanta fire department captain who was suspended because there were allegations of him messing around with younger girls. They proved to be true on this night. He decided to pick up a prostitute. After he picks her up, he decides he wants to smoke crack. So he goes over to the local dope boy. And the dope boy looks in the car. This is like the craziest story.
Yeah.
Small world story. Small world. He looks in the car and sees his 16-year-old cousin. So he pulls out the gun, puts one on the guy's head. So I get there. I make coleslaw out of this guy's cabbage. There was brain matter everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally 60 minutes into my tour, I'm at the first homicide scene. So 4 hours later, 4 a.m., my FTO decides he wanted to take a nap. And we did 5 and twos. So those guys, in addition to that, we used to have to work extra jobs. So those guys were exhausted.
Yeah.
There was no way I would ever work midnights in Atlanta. But he decided he wanted to take a nap. So we go to what was Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. It was right across the street from what became the Olympic Stadium. It was under construction. And he just reclines his chair. He goes, he's out in like 30 seconds. I have my head on a swivel, like in the most violent part of Atlanta, which is the most violent city of America. I'm like, this cat's sleeping right now. I'm looking around. And with that, she's like 1301, start for a 50-4, which is a shooting and an ambulance route. Before I could say this cat's name, he inclines his seat, puts it in drive, hits the gas, grabs the mic, and copies the call. I'm like, holy shit, I'm with Superman. So we head over, and my second dead body within 5 hours, Smith to Bass Street, a storm member at the intersection. It's the only place you see heroin in Zone 3 at least. And this dude, he was flat on his back. His eyes were wide open. It had just rained slightly, so like smoke was kind of coming off his body. Yeah. And it always struck me. I don't know how many homicide scenes I've been to and whatever death scenes. I'm like, man, 10 minutes ago, this cat was alive and living his life. Yeah. And now he's gone forever. I don't know. It always struck me when I was looking at dead bodies. And the funny part was the name Junebug came up as the perp. So a couple months later, we're doing something drug related and this guy's name comes up. Junebug is a possible drug dealer. So I look at my buddy Kojo. I'm like, Coach, I go, this guy did a murder a couple months ago. It's Smith the Bass. He's like, what are you talking about? So I tell him, he's like, he just starts laughing. He had the deepest guttural laugh. I'm like, what's so funny? He's from Atlanta. He's like, Mogs, you know any guys nicknamed Junebug? I'm like, oh, really? I thought it was like, this nickname that would stick out. Apparently, I learned later there were thousands of Junebugs in the hood, man.
Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of Junebugs in Florida, too.
Yeah, all over the place. So it was not him. But that was my welcome to policing night, first night.
Wow.
Nuts. And it only got crazier after that. It was nuts. I loved it, and I thought it was normal. It was my normal. But, looking back now, in fact, I remember my cousin who used to work in the NYPD, used to work in the E3, East New York, comes on a ride along with me. And he looks at me, he's like, we're both last name Morgan. He's like, Morgs, you got to get the fuck out of here. I'm like, why? He's like, this place is nuts. I'm like, you think it's worse than the E3? He's like, E3 is like a country club compared to this. And we were single man cars. NYPD's all doubled up. So he's like, you don't even have a partner, man. I'm like, yeah, man, it is what it is. He's like, you don't even understand how crazy this is. No. But again, it was our normal.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
People don't understand that. And again, I'm not comparing Tampa, and I wasn't in Tampa. I was in the county. Again, shout out to the small PDs and rural PDs, because nothing but love. But it is a different fucking world when you go to somewhere like Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, LA, New York, the city of, that kind of, it's a different beast, man. It is a different fucking beast.
It's so violent. I mean, I was an animal. I was as violent as they. I mean, I trained for years, so I learned how to become pretty proficient in extreme violence. I was an animal. You had to be. It was kill or be killed. And you have established that reputation quick, man. They know. You get out of the car, first of all, everything is handled with violence in the hood. There's no discourse. There's no anger management. There's no talking about it. Everything is handled with violence. Yeah. Consequently, as a cop, everything is handled with violence, man. You walk out, they look in your eyes, and they can smell that fear. If you're scared, you're done.
Yeah.
So you better be ready. Up. Yep.
Let me ask your opinion on this, because these are things that I'm realizing now, but my thing, because some people are like, dude, why do you always come in so fucking hot? Like, I would come in and I would waylay motherfuckers, because again, a preamble just because it's for the show, but depending on what's going on, but typically it's a shooting, domestic fights, but there's shit going on. So, but you got to come in hot, to your point. And it was like, if I don't do this, the next person who comes wearing this uniform, they will fuck that. You got to kind of set the tone. Was that kind of the culture that you're referring to in Atlanta?
Yeah, it's so funny you said that. I always thought it was my job to make sure that guy never thought about fighting the next cop that he ran into.
Yeah.
So I didn't fight to just win that fight, man. I fought to break bones, collarbones, jaws, noses, dislocated, whatever the case may be, because I want to make you never want to F with the police again.
Yes. Let me ask you this, because Atlanta has come under a lot of scrutiny over the years, and I'm not asking you to pinpoint anything, but I don't think people understand that you're dealing with the level of violence and I mean, it's life or death, because that's what I try to explain to people all the time. If I lose, I could die. If I win, he's going to go to jail, or she, whatever it is, right? She too, because let me explain something. When I first started, I was just like, I think I had a perception in my mind dealing with females. That rapidly changed, because sometimes they're the most violent and they will fuck you up, bro.
Yeah. Worst trouble I ever got in was because of a female, because I didn't punch her in the face like she should have been.
Yeah, well,
I almost got killed.
Yeah, you learn that your hands are rated E for everybody, because they all catching it if they need it, right? Because
I like that.
But there's no time to hesitate, especially.
Nope.
You learn very quickly. So I was kind of a Southern raised, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir,
gentlemen.
no sir, women, and I was like, that goes out the fucking window. Yeah. But to that point, you're around this all the time. So you kind of, even sometimes, and what I learned in myself, because I was learning, dude, I was a banker, then I was a cop. So it took me a minute. I didn't realize the changes that were happening to me. I would come in hot sometimes, even when it may not have been necessary. Just I was ready kind of a thing, and it would freak people out. Plus, I'm 6'5", I'm 300 pounds. I'm a big dude anyway.
Holy shit, I knew you were that big.
I wasn't even the biggest guy. Sometimes I'd ride in a car with somebody and we'd be shoulder to shoulder. Hillsboro's got some big boys, bro.
Yeah.
corn fed down there. Corn fed. But it took me probably 3 years to kind of learn how to, I guess, get that visual, what am I going to kind of control the way I was entering a scene, because it could affect the way the investigation went, right? So it took me a little while, but dude, I think it's hard, man, because you never know. It's like the victim could be fucking violent. You might be putting handcuffs on the victim. And it's like, I wasn't even here for you, but because of what you're doing, I had to arrest you.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened multiple times. This is the way I always look at calls. Whatever you're hearing, 50% of that's going to be true. So never go in there with these preconceived notions of what you're going to find. Yeah, you want to kind of plan it out maybe in your mind, but don't get there looking at him thinking he's the guilty guy already.
Yep.
When this cat who looks so innocent could be the one that's going to put a bullet in your head, because you never know.
Yeah. And that's so how old were you during this time frame in Atlanta?
So when I got out of the academy, what was I? Yeah, I got out of the academy in April, so I was turning 24 that August.
Okay.
So 24 to 34, essentially, I was there.
No kids, nothing like that at that time?
No.
All right. So this is what I've reflected over the last year or so, but So I already had kids when I went in to Hillsborough. And I keep in mind, I was a banker. I had kids. I had that banker life. Then I became a cop. 12-hour midnights, all this other stuff, violence, horrific scenes, murders, dead bodies, all that. It took me many years to realize that my kids saw it early, but like, did you recognize being on your own any change in the way that your relationships were impacted, friendships, whatever they were?
No, I think really the first time that I thought maybe I was broken was '05. So I'm about 12 years into my career, and one of my really good friends committed suicide. Moved back, got on with Suffolk County, and one of my buddies who was on my hockey team in Atlanta had committed suicide. Jack Stein, I love him. And I was so sad, but I couldn't cry, and I could not. I remember coming out of the shower, I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm trying to make myself cry, and I couldn't do it. I'm like, man, you're fucking broken, bro. Like, you don't feel anything. How can you not cry right now? That's the first time I had like an inkling that, man, I've changed quite a bit, and I'm not even recognized as Cat looking back at me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I can understand. Again, they always tell you personal life ends at the door when you walk out in uniform, and then you deal with it when you get back. That's not true, man.
No way.
You struggling with
There's no switches, man. There's dials.
No,
you can't just turn that shit on and off. It just doesn't work like that.
No, not at all. So how long were you in Atlanta before you went to Suffolk?
10 years, 4 months.
Explain again. Like, what was that? That seems like you're like halfway there. And you made the switch. You're like, I got to get out of here and go back home.
Bro, I would have gone. Had I had 20 and I would have left.
Oh, wow.
I was getting burnt out. Number one. So I was looking for a change as well. But, to vest at the time was 15 years. So I would have had to do another 5. And they changed, actually 6 months after I left, they changed it to 10. So
15 years is a long fucking time, bro.
Yeah, 15 years is a long time. It was ridiculously long. And it just sucked that I missed out on that pension by 6 months.
Yeah.
It would have been a nice car payment at 55 years old. But I'm still looking now. So with Atlanta, I would have had to do 32. With Suffolk, I would have had to do 20 for half pension. Full pension in Atlanta was 32, and I think that was like 75%. 75% of nothing. I think we were topping out at like, low 60s maybe. But we had
dude? I did not know that.
Yeah, we had raises frozen 4 times in the 10 years I was there. So I was still probably like low 40s, low to mid 40s. Extra jobs, I'm probably banging like mid 60s, and I had rent free for like 5 years, which is sweet. I lived on an estate. I had to take on motorcycle because I went to motorcycle squad. I was an elderly couple. They were rich. They wanted a cop living on a property. They got burglarized the year before. So I was Kato Caitlin. It was a sick setup. Mr. Lipson, the Lipsons, they were the best. I love them. And one day he had a stroke. So he asked me if I minded driving his Rolls around town just to get us some miles. I'm like, do I mind? Nah, I'll suffer, Mr. Lipson.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
I think I could do it though.
Damn, bro. You're touching on another sore subject, but the pay, I don't know why I assumed Atlanta made more. I guess that seems wild. Hopefully it's gone up since you left, but that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Holy shit. All right. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip on, but because you also we call them specialized units. You were in the motorcycle unit in Atlanta. Yes. One, what made you do that specifically?
Well, canine is my first love, and that's what I wanted to go to. I had applied. You need a crane to get over there pretty much.
Yeah.
I was on the list, but, I was there was no way that I was going there anytime soon. I had a bunch of guys that I knew that were on the motorcycle squad. It was a pretty good detail. They had the best extra jobs around as well. And, we used to, they call it 10 by 8. So we'd have roll call at 3:30. So I'd be like 10 by 8. So we'd bang out 10 tickets, go chill, come back 8 o'clock, do a paperwork. I'd be home at 8:30. Sorry for blowing up.
You were traffic control on a bike? That was your main thing?
Yep. So we'd be on I-75, 85 with a laser in the left lane on that bike. It was insane how, looking back now, man, it's insane how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many pursuits I got in on a bike. I was chips. I can't believe we were allowed to chase cars on bikes. Well, it is so dangerous.
Listen, Georgia State Police, but I also always include Atlanta. Go off the rails, but I don't think I would ever do it on a bike. I've been in a few myself, but I was in a car.
Yeah, I can't believe we used to be allowed. Georgia State Patrol, I fucking love those guys. We get on in a chase, we get on the interstate, but like 302 start GSP, because all you want to do is see that pit. Yeah, I don't understand how it's still allowed, man. Legally, they must get sued all the time. I don't understand. I'm assuming they're covered somehow.
Yeah, listen,
or they'd stop.
State of Florida and state of Maine, baby. You could pit the shit out of people. It was great, and I love doing it every time.
I used to get chases all the time. Stolen cars and drugs are my thing. So constant pursuits. I can't even imagine if I was allowed to pit.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah.
I'd still be there.
You'd be kicking it with your fucking motor boot.
Yeah, I would never would have left if I was allowed to pit.
That's fun. But we had another connection, Secret Service. You said you got to do some protection stuff with the bike. What was that like from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It's a whole lot of, hurry up and wait action. So, presidents, VPs, heads of state from other countries. It's funny. And you can either confirm or you're definitely going to be the voice on this one. Almost to a man, they would come over and shake every one of our hands, take pictures with us. It was always such a different dynamic between the two.
And then I don't know what happens. Things happen. And then all of a sudden you're waiting and you're holding the door for 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. It's like, so they all do it. How often they do it, I don't know. I'd have to think through that one. But traffic shut. We're waiting.
Yeah.
Sir, we've got to go.
The city is shut down while these cats are moving. People don't understand.
45 minutes later. All right, let's go. Those are brutal things. And I will say, because I loved working with the motor units and just, I love talking to those guys and hanging out with them. But in LA, they got to the point where they're like, you give us a 5-minute notice, then we'll shut it down. We're not doing it a minute before, because they're like, we're not shutting LA down for hours waiting for you.
It's ridiculous, man. Yeah. People cursing, screaming, hitting horn. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we had a dedicated SWAT team. I was thinking about that, but there was just so much arrogance in there. If they were more professional and it was more humility in the teams, I would have loved to have been that. But we were both in SOS, special operations section, so we worked a lot of details together. And I knew most of the guys, and I hate arrogance, and being trapped with dudes and that arrogance all day would have driven me nuts. There were a few other details that were okay, but as far as like this, motors just worked perfectly for me, and financially it was the best as well. Went that route. When I was leaving, I was like number 2 for the K9 slot, which is an EOD dog out of the airport. So I would have had to go to Lackland Air Force Base for federal certification. I would have stayed had I gotten that. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Supposedly I was next to get called as the deadline was approached. I called my major. He's like, Morg, you're supposed to be going next, but the mayor's office could call the night before and want someone else in there. He's like, I can't promise you it. I'm like, I can't stay with that. So I end up leaving.
Dangling that carrot. Yeah.
There's no way.
God dang, bro. That's fucking wild. All right. I want to move to Suffolk, because I understand you wanted to go back up. You wanted to get out. Suffolk County, what was the reason you going there specifically?
So Suffolk was a lot because I was going back to my hometown, still had a lot of friends, mostly family. Quality of life was definitely going to be better on the job. Financially, they were highest paid in the nation. Though when I was there in 2003, our top salary was probably just over 100, maybe like 105-ish, something like that for a PO with no OT.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah. When I left, the average salary with, decent longevity was probably about 175-ish without OT. There were guys, they're lunatics. I don't know how they do it. 1,500 hours OT, they were making like high 3s, low 4s as a PO.
Blood money, bro. I hear you. I hear you. I get it. It sounds great, but it's like, that's blood money, bro.
Yeah. Literally, you're working 16-hour days, almost 7 days a week. You work 1,900 hours in a regular year, and these guys are banging out another 1,500 hours. It's insanity.
Oof, that's a lot, bro. That's a lot. So how long were you in Suffolk County?
So I was in Suffolk for my last 19 years. I got medically retired in 22. I was expecting to do 25 there. I was expecting to do 35 total. And then I blew out my back in September of 20 and got retired a couple of years later after 2 back surgeries.
Was it as big of a change of pace as you expected it to be from Atlanta to Suffolk?
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, Tyler, even just getting used to people not spitting on the ground every time you drove past someone, or not hearing "fuck the police" every time you get out of the car, or this one blew me away. People, I remember being in a field training and someone's waving like that. They just waved to us. He's like, yeah, why? I'm like, they just wave like, hi. He's like, yeah. I'm like, whoa. And then, potentially you're at a deli or whatever, and people are like, officer, thank you so much for what you do. It literally took months for me to get used to that, man. Yeah. I was, I don't want to say it like this. It wasn't like I thought of myself as an adversary of every citizen that I saw, but in Atlanta, it was a high percentage that it was like that. I was almost walking around in code orange 24/7 in Atlanta. And I don't want to say it was code white in New York, in Suffolk. Maybe, yellow's the next, I got next shade above that.
Yeah.
It was a night and day. It was, we have the same things in Suffolk that Atlanta's got, but the scale is so much more. It's insanity.
Well, just another comparison between you and I. Hillsborough, I was very used to every time you try to pull somebody over, they're going to run or they're going to bail or all these other stuff. I go to Maine where I'm a trooper. and I go to pull over a car, and like 8 cars pull over, and I'm like, I get behind the one I was pulling over, and the rest of them go, "Thank you, trooper. You have a great day." Like I'm like, I was like looking around, like, "Oh my god, this is a setup or something." And they were just nice. Or here, I'll give you one. I'll give you one. I go to arrest somebody on domestic. I'm like, and troopers, you're very much by yourself. Your backup is 2 hours away.
Oh yeah,
which is another shift that you had to work through. And I'm like, I gotta take you in. You gotta go to jail. He's like, dude, I understand. He put his hands behind his back and just let me handcuff him. I was like super wired, ready to go. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, the same experience in Suffolk. Turn around, put your hands behind your back, and they would like, what the hell am I missing, man? And and then you're waiting for the first one to click, and then he's going to turn around with the right hand.
Yeah.
It was a different world, man.
Dude, yeah. I'm like slowly going toward my taser, like waiting.
Yeah. Like when's the shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
Something's going to happen here.
Damn, buddy. All right. So, bro, 30 years and you have one pension?
Yeah, one pension.
I'm writing this down because I've heard this repeatedly. It's like, we need to figure this stuff out, but I don't know. Not that I'm going to be the one to do it, but it's like, that's a long time in public service. And I know it doesn't feel like it's the credit or the reward that you should get at the end of something like that.
Well, you want to hear add insult to injury. Not that I'm saying that I deserve anything more than that, but as I'm leaving Suffolk, I had to go to medical evaluation unit because we're assigned to command. So like my precinct would be a command 210. I was in the second precinct. So after 30 days that I was out injured, I got transferred into the medical evaluation unit command. It just in terms of manpower, knowledge on paperwork. So now there's one less officer. If he needs more, I'm no longer there. So I had to go there to get my last year's attendance signed off on once I got approved for my medical pension. So as I'm getting that done, one of the girls there turns around. She's like, "Oh, I hope you get your good guy letter." And your good guy letter lets you get your gun permit as a retired cop. So I'm like, "Oh, yeah, me too." And I'm kind of joking around. She's not. I'm like, "You know something I don't know?" She's like, "Well, they've been denying guys who are getting out 3/4 or half pension good guy letters." Like, what are you talking about? She's like, "Yeah, they're saying that if you didn't qualify in your last year, they're not going to give you a letter." I'm like, that letter lets me hold this for the rest of my life. Why can't I just go back and qualify now? She's like, "Well, they're saying because you weren't ready to qualify last year, how could you be ready to qualify now if you're still injured?" I said, "I was ready if they would have, if I would have done the regular pistol course, I would have been able to do that no problem." There's certain things I cannot do. And if that was required of me, cool, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And I said, furthermore, like if I'm getting out of the PTSD program, pension, I understand. I can't hold a weapon. But is the back injury, my neurosurgeon never said I can't fire a weapon. Never do any of these things that I need to do for the test. So lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, pistol permits guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, brother, I just want to let you know you got rejected for your good guy letter." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He's like, "No, and brother, it was like hurt and anger and rage all in one. Like, man, I'm walking out the door and you have to kick me in the ass with that last boot." Like, I was in good standing, had no problems with anyone. Like, it just blew me away. So I made a few phone calls, called the NRA, spoke to a few of their attorneys about suing them. Everyone's like, it's a 50-50 shot. I'm like, I don't understand this. So
how can this be?
Yeah, for shits and giggles, we had a Suffolk County Police Department group, and I just kind of wrote what was happening to me. And next thing I know, we have a former detective who's now a legislator. This guy's last name is Trotta. He's persona non grata in the police department, but he's like, "Hey, man, call me tomorrow and let me know what's going on." Oh, as soon as he retired, he got into like a war of words with our union, and he's been on the shit list ever since. So, like, man, I don't want to get involved with this guy, but he's the only one like willing to help me. Well, next day, tell him what's happening. He's like, "Man, that's crazy." So he's like, "Hey," he calls me back. I spoke to Chief Waring. He had no idea what was going on. Apparently, the assistant commissioner has taken it upon herself to do this. And her name was mentioned. Lewis was last. What was her name? Roscoe, I think. Black female. I had a case, which I don't think it had affected it, but her nephew, I pulled over one day and I'm FTOing, and I was just telling the recruit, "As you're writing these tickets, man, you better be head up, head down, head up, head down. Do not get lost in that ticket book or the computer." So with that, he's writing the ticket. These guys swap drivers. I'm like, "Yo, did you see that?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "These guys are swapped." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, they just swapped. We just got to be watching out for, bro. They could have popped out with a gun on you." So go back up to the car, and it wasn't like, "Hey, did you guys just swap?" I just went off. "You stupid mother." He didn't get a chance to deny it. I'm like, and it turns out this is his aunt, assistant commissioner. I'm like, "Cool." I thought he was trying to intimidate me. I'm like, "Get her on the phone right now. I want to see what she thinks about her uncle swapping spots." Called his bluff. He's like, you just see the blood drain from his face. He's like, No, I don't want to call her." I'm like, "What the hell did you tell me that for then?" He's like, "I just wanted you to know." I know. I said, "Call her, man. I want to talk to her." He's like, officer, please don't make me call her. I'm like, I don't call her. I don't think it ever got back to her because she did this to multiple other guys. So I think it was just her process of being a moron. And lo and behold, so this legislator said the chief's going to correct it. And a few days later, it's so funny. Instead of like rewriting what they did, he just whited out the disapproved and just checked approved and whatever. I got it. I was good to go. Pistol permit guy calls me up. He's like, bro, I don't know what the hell you just did, but Chief Waring's office just walked this down and you're now approved. I'm like, yeah, bro, shit happens. You know, God works in mysterious ways. I wasn't telling him anything. And that was that. And then Trotter, the legislator's like, hey, man, do me a favor. He's like, I need you to make a post on Facebook how I helped you. And, you know, the union didn't. I'm like, well, I'm not going to say anything about the union not. I said, no. Yeah, I'm like, you helped me, bros. I'll do it. The next day, he gets nailed. He got caught audio taping private conversations between him and our chief. So after that, I was like, yeah, there's no way that's happening. And he was so focused on everything else, he wasn't paying attention to that. There's no way I was writing that after that.
Damn. But, well, I don't want to gloss over because you brought it up at the beginning, but you were trying to go to the FBI.
Yep.
When did that occur? Where were you?
I was in Atlanta. So that was in 98. Yeah, I just got on a motorcycle squad.
All right.
Took the written test in 97. I was cocky. I didn't think it was going to be difficult. I always do well on standardized tests. Failed it.
Hard as shit.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was going to be like algebra and trigonometry and shit on there.
Yeah, bro.
So second time around, I studied, passed. Got flown to Fort Lauderdale for a board interview with several agents. Passed that. Go take the polygraph. And failed the polygraph. I didn't even lie. I popped on, did you ever sell drugs? And as I was telling you, was hanging out with a buddy of mine in ninth grade. He was selling dime bags of weed to the neighborhood kids. I was with him a bunch of times, but I never touched the money or the weed. I admitted to smoking weed, you know, in junior high and high school a few times. And that was the extent of my drug use. So I'm like, I told the guy, I'm like, this is why I hate polygraphs. You guys are losing a great candidate. And I did not lie. Meanwhile, my former partner in Atlanta, I was in rehab at 16 when he took the Atlanta polygraph, told me never did a drug in his life, passes with flying colors.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't want to bash polygraphs, but I have issues with it. It's also the way it's used. I've taken 7 just from the different agencies I've worked for, but it's all about who the polygrapher is. Because to me, it's like, are you trying to show that if I'm lying in a shitbag, or are you trying to find a reason not to hire me, which is a different line of questioning. And I think that's pretty much how it's being used, at least on the federal side. Anyway, I have issues with it.
And their demeanor has a lot. To me, it affects results greatly. They could kind of put you at ease, or they can have you on edge the whole time. I think it's taken 5, and that was the only one I failed. Figures.
So frustrating. All right, so you get out of Suffolk County. Did you go directly to, because you're in Florida now?
Yeah, so Suffolk got out in 22. So October 22 got retired. Had to go another year for my workers' comp case. So we settled that in September, October of 23, and then we moved down to Florida in December of 23, December 30th.
Oh, so it's kind of recent. It's new.
Yeah, we're coming up on a 2-year anniversary.
Fuck yeah. All right. Dude, that was awesome. I know that was a real kind of hot and heavy, but so much experience in there. But I definitely want to save space and time for what you're doing now and kind of how that started. Forgive me if you've already talked about it a bunch in your podcast, but
no, not at all.
What was that journey for you? What made you realize that you needed to be on it and that you were going to post about it, talk about it? Because we talked a little bit before. It's very rare for somebody with experience the way that you have had experience. Again, I know where you were, so if I might be leaving stuff out for people who don't have any concept or idea how it could be working in a city like Atlanta and going through the shit that you went through, and then also being kind of fucked, from in the back, stabbed in the back by an agency just trying to fuck you, after you gave them so many years. All those things, a lot of guys keep it in. There's a huge stigma in mental health. But now you are on this path. You have the Resilient Warrior Nation. You're very open about your journey and the stuff that you're doing. But what was the timing and what was the transition for you on that?
Sure. I just want to touch upon, I had a addiction to opioids, and I ended up going to rehab in 2012. And again, I've been fervently anti-drug my whole life. Smoked weed in high school. That's the extent of my drug usage. Never seen cocaine in my private life, but during my first marriage, it was not going well. My family and she did not get along well. I was trying to make everyone happy. No one was happy. I was miserable. So I had been taking this Tramadol as prescribed for years. Not a problem. And then I decided or realized that it kind of dulled the pain that I was going through. So I just ended up taking more and more. And
so when you say addiction, it was prescribed to you.
Yeah, it was prescribed, and additionally, it was legal.
That's a significant difference. Yeah.
Nothing was off the street. It was actually legal at the time to purchase online. Yeah. So between my doctor and online, I had a endless supply of pills, essentially. Unfortunately, I had about 8 seizures in 3 years because That's one of the side effects of tramadol. If you take too many, you have seizures.
I'm sorry, bro. We glossed over that part, buddy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
8 seizures.
Holy shit.
One of which was crazy. I didn't even learn my lesson after this one. It was January of may have been 2012. He's in cold. My ex-wife was in Europe on business at the time. I was whacked that day. And I remember walking towards the counter. Next thing I remember, I'm in our closet upstairs, or her walk-in closet. I'm taking her clothes and putting them on the bed. And I kind of, just as I'm coming out of it, like, what the hell's going on? And then I realized the left side of my face is like pounding. It's killing me. So I walk into the bathroom and the left side of my face is just like starting to turn black and blue. My eyes closing. So I put 2 and 2 together and realized as I was walking towards the counter, I must have seized, fallen, hit the left side of my face. My Roddy was underneath me. Thank God I didn't hurt her. And I must have bounced off and passed out, woke up. For whatever reason, I was pulling clothes out of the closet, putting them on the bed. Thank God it was January because I was able to call into work for those 5 days, take vacation. And then between the bookending of 2 days and 3 days and those 5, I had 10 days off. Yeah. Didn't see anyone. No one saw me. I was able to heal up before I went back to work. But that should have been a rude awakening because I literally almost killed myself, but it didn't happen.
Damn.
Yeah. And then finally over the summer, I got hurt at work. So I was actually out line of duty. And one particular Sunday night, I had a seizure downstairs. She and I were watching TV. She went, got the neighbors. They came over. And I asked them, excuse me. And I talked to her. I'm like, I need help. I'm like, I can't stop taking these fucking pills. Like every time I would start weaning off, the effects of them will get so intense again that I'd start re-upping them again. And it was just a vicious cycle. So ended up going into rehab. Was there for 12 days because I was taking so many. Initially, I wanted to do an outpatient, but they're like, you're taking so many. We need to wean you off this medicine carefully. Yeah. And did 12 days inpatient. And then I think it was a 3 or 4 month program outpatient. Successfully completed that. I was done. Yeah. I remember I got out of rehab Labor Day. And then I think so pretty much it was that towards the end of 2012 that I completed that outpatient. And I was talking to a buddy of mine in December, Craig Capolino. I love this guy. He says passed. He's a former NYPD detective, and we were in the Suffolk County Police Academy together. He had contracted a rare form of cancer from 9/11, and it was terminal. He knew. We spoke openly and frankly about it. And one day I'm talking to him in December, and I'm crying as we were talking. So I hit mute, and I don't know why I didn't hang up the phone, to be honest with you. He got finished. I didn't say anything. He was asking for me. I hit on mute, and he could hear him crying. He's like, Michael, what's wrong? So I'm like, bro, I'm a fucking piece of shit. I'm like, I'm throwing my life away, isolating in my basement, taking pills, and all you're doing is asking for more time on this earth. I'm like, I feel like the biggest piece of shit. And he's like, no, bro. He's like, you're not a piece of shit. He's like, you clean? I'm like, absolutely. He's like, then stop that, man. Stop beating yourself over it. He's up about it. He's like, it's something you did. It's not you. And I was like, I love you, bro. And it was so hard for me to say at that point. And I'm like, I promise you, I will lead a productive life for both of us, but I'm not going to waste any more of it, especially for you. And he's like, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And he said something that day that blew me away. He was like talking about his cancer. And he's like, Mike, I never asked why me. He's like, why not me? Who the fuck am I? I'm nothing special. And I was like, bro, that's one of the most powerful things I've ever heard someone say in my fucking life.
That's a ballsy way to say that, man.
Yeah. And that will always stay with me.
Jesus, bro. Yeah. So was that for you I guess they call it rock bottom or the shift or what?
No, I had gotten out of rehab September. This is December. So I'm already clean, but when talking to him, it just the feelings came up and I was just,
I got you.
I was just so upset about what I've been doing and seeing this poor guy just wants another day. Yeah. And I realized, so it was just not a come to Jesus moment, but, really truly enforced the fact that I am going to do something with my life. Not that I was wasting it, but, at the time doing that shit, I was.
I understand.
So now I'll fast forward to.
Okay.
I was on for probably 12 years.
And then so then when do you feel that you felt like you started abusing it?
Probably 3 years. Probably
the last 3 years?
Yeah, 09 to 12.
Did you realize you were doing it in the moment?
Yeah. I knew it.
Well,
I knew I was addicted. I think one night FedEx missed a delivery, so I didn't have any pills that night. Man, I started DTing. Holy shit.
It's that fast.
Yeah, because I was taking so many.
Oh, okay.
You are crawling out of your skin. I literally couldn't stand, I was flipping over the bed. It was constant movement. It's like a crackhead. I'm like watching it happen. I'm like, I can't believe this. I'm literally like a crackhead. And I don't know how I didn't wake my ex-wife up, but it only happened once that I didn't have any, thank God. But, I'm like, man, I'm addicted to the shit. And I knew, I think I tried to downplay it in my mind because I'm like, it's legal. Anyone can buy it online. It's not that bad. I'd never go get it on the street or anything like that. But it was an addiction and it was drugs. Whatever I was, however I was bargaining with myself was total bullshit. And I knew it.
See, dude, I appreciate you sharing that, man, because that is a unique point. It's legal. You're prescribed it. You had a reason for taking it, but then you, in and of yourself, realized that this is a fucking problem.
100%.
Damn, dude. I also didn't realize the side effects were seizures, bro. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not just this one in particular, for whatever reason. It's a synthetic codeine. I don't know why this one and not like Vicodin, but, the chemical makeup is responsible for that. So,
shit. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. But yeah, I do want to shift. So when did you get off that? I'm sorry.
That was in September of 2012. I got out of rehab.
And then you got out of, you moved in 2023.
Yes, down to Florida.
All right.
So you would ask me about the when I knew kind of things were going on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just put that in there just so people knew that in case
I appreciate it. I didn't know that.
Contact me. Yeah, I try to be as open as possible because there are a ton of men and women who are going through it right now. So if anyone wants to talk about a substance abuse issue.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you and keep talking over you, but we were talking before and we were talking just, again, we're not shitting on the profession or agencies as far as with the profession itself, but it's just the preparation and the lack of some training and understanding of what you're going to go through. But to that point, what I'm trying to get to is a lot of agencies don't give a shit how much you drink as long as it doesn't affect the job. We're not talking criminality here. Don't show up to work drunk, but if you go home and you kill a bottle every night, they don't care. How many divorces you go through I've seen it, hey, I'm on my 5th divorce and it's almost like a
badge of honor.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's very warped.
I haven't talked to my kids in 10 years. Like it just seems like, it's all part of the job. It is what it is. Well, you're in a group of whatever. And I'm like, but if you go to therapy or you admit you have a problem, it's almost like they side eye you. So
exactly.
I want to just touch on that in relation to what you're talking about, because a lot of cops do self-medicate. And especially when you're working weird hours, I mean, I can speak for myself. You're working from 6 at night till 6 in the morning, and that's your evening. So you're having a drink or two at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning before you go to bed. You see what I mean? Like, throws your whole norms go out the fucking window. You're not just having a drink with the buddies. You're just having a drink alone at home at 6 in the fucking morning. It's not healthy by any stretch.
No.
Let alone all the other stuff that we're going to get into, but the working out, the diet, the nutrition, all this other stuff. But I just wanted to kind of highlight that in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it throws off everything. There's no yin and I think we all say yang, but I saw something the other day. I think it's yang, but it throws you yin and, still going to say yang. It throws you yin and yang off. There's no synchronicity in your life whatsoever. And it's horrendous.
Not to mention it crushes your relationships that you're trying to have as well.
Yeah. There is nothing advantageous about using any substance. It's never going to be something that's good. It's going to be highlighted in your life.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
now we're back in Florida, baby.
All right. So when did I essentially notice something was going on? I would say, so I got hurt in September of 20. I got retired in September of 22, and then a workers' comp case the following year. So from 20 to 23, I'm not allowed to work. I'm not allowed to volunteer. I'm not allowed to go to the gym. I built one in my house, but essentially not allowed to do that. The department's got a unit that follows guys and girls who are long-term line of duty to make sure, they'll record you, make sure you're not doing things you shouldn't be doing. They'll record you getting in your car too smoothly and present that as evidence at trial to be like, see, he doesn't have whatever he said he has, or he wouldn't be able to get in the car that smooth. So you're definitely on edge. But as time's going on, I'm starting to get feelings of anger, rage. I got all this time to think now. Depression, maybe. Definitely not waking up happy every day. I'm usually joking around and just, very easygoing in many respects. I was not that. I wake up feeling good, but a negative thought would put me in this cycle. And for the rest of the day, I'm kind of in this vicious cycle. So I knew something was going on. I'm very self-aware, but I cannot pinpoint the origin of these feelings. And then it happened. I sat down one day, spring of 23, to watch an episode of the Sean Ryan show. He was interviewing a guy named Eddie Penny, former Navy SEAL, Team 6 guy. And Eddie was recounting the Extortion 17 incident, in which a Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan. I killed all 38 aboard, including 17 SEALs. It was the largest loss of life in their community ever. Included in the dead was Jason Workman, his best friend. And Eddie was telling the story of escorting Jason's body back first to his hometown in Utah, and then to his final resting place in Arlington National Cemetery. And as he's telling the story, he's crying, rightly so, I simultaneously began thinking about a call I had 5 years before. I had buried this. It was a two-year-old found floating in a pool. It was literally the one call in my 30-year career that I started crying on that call. And I told myself, you're a fucking pussy. Stop crying.
Yeah.
And I did, when in fact it would have been the best thing I could have done. But as I'm thinking about this, I just start crying like a baby. No other way to say it. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? Couldn't figure it out at first. Quickly kind of put two and two together. And I'm like, man, I think you suffer some sort of PTSD on the job. I'm like, I always mistakenly believed that it can only get caused by seeing your brother or sister next to you get killed. Yeah. But looking back, mine was caused by being inside the most devastating, intimate moments of other people's lives over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And that was it. I'm like, I need help. And I started thinking about how I would get that. I didn't think traditional counseling was going to do it for me. I didn't think I'd be able to talk to a guy or a girl sitting behind a desk, tell them what I've done, what I've seen. They were going to be able to help me in any way, shape, or form. I had seen these special force operators on Sean's and other podcasts talking about being self-professed broken men coming back from war and then their consequent healing journeys using psychedelics. So when I first started hearing about it, I dismissed it. I'm like, that's not for me. And then I started paying close attention, started doing my own research.
Yeah.
And I decided that ayahuasca was calling me. I'm like, I have to try this. So
you did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did it. As me and my wife were getting ready to move down in December of 23, my wife, who is the research queen, just happened to find that there was a ayahuasca church in Orlando, Florida called Soul Quest Ayahuasca Church. And I'm like, I only thought that these treatments could be accessed in South America. And
That's what I thought.
I was planning a trip to Peru for both of us. She wanted a journey as well. Ended up finding, the universe, I should say, guided me to this place. I don't even think I found that. I was put on a road to find it. And we went down March 1st of 2024 for a Friday through Sunday a weekend where we would drink ayahuasca 3 times, 3 ceremonies. And really, for all intents and purposes, my life was changed after the first one. And then, we completed the last 2. But as I came out of the first one, the universe and I were speaking to each other. I know it sounds funny if you've never done it, but it's clear as day. As clearly as Tyler and I are speaking, the universe was telling me that it had healed me. Now, healing is not linear. I'm not this healed person. You go through stuff every single day of my life. But as far as the PTSD, it had given me much healing, and my life's purpose was to go forth and help other first responders and vets heal their traumas and PTSD. And I literally said out loud. I had no idea how I was going to implement it. I had 2 friends and former coworkers from Suffolk County PD 3 weeks before this commit suicide, a week apart. Arjun actually killed himself in a precinct locker room.
Jesus.
So I don't know if it's got anything to do with it. But it was if you would have told me a year and a half ago, I'd be here doing this, talking to you, doing anything that I'm doing, writing a book, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I would have left my ass off. No intention of getting into the space at all, but literally my life changed that night.
Damn. Real quick on the ayahuasca, I've heard it can be vomiting brutal. Was it that?
Mine's not bad. I usually purge about 4. I'll feel like something in the pit of my stomach. I grab my cans, like little garbage cans that you have in your bathroom. Purge 4 or 5 times, put it down. I'm done. Other people, they'll have nausea. They'll have, my wife, sometimes will have a difficult time with it. Now, symbolically, when you're purging, you're getting rid of stuff that no longer serves you. Physically, literally, you're throwing up. Some people purge, fecally, they're pooping. They don't lose control. It's not like you're shitting their pants, but, they'll have to go use the bathroom. But yeah, I mean, you are going to purge either one of those 2 ways.
Interesting. I'm sorry. You said 3 times. How long did this take place?
So the journeys they're about 4 hours. So you're essentially drinking out of what looks like a shot glass. So they measure them in tablespoons typically. So I think I had 2 tablespoons my first journey, and the effects will usually last very strongly for about 2 hours. You'll take a booster 2 hours later, and then you'll journey for another 2 hours or so. So most people's are about 4 hours. Some people go 6.
Wow. And how many days did you do this?
So we did Friday night and Saturday morning. It was like 9:30 to 1:30. Saturday night again. So Friday night, Saturday night, like 7 to 11.
Damn. All right. So within that moment, I'm also happy to hear your wife was like there with you. I think that to me, that speaks a lot to your wife and willing to do this with you and experience this with you. So you have this moment, this clarifying moment. What were your next steps, dude? Because I mean, you're doing it. And I've already BJ says giving you your flowers. I've already kind of hyped you up just offline, but I'm not trying to do it again. But like you kind of hit, from what it looks like on the outside, you hit the ground running, but you're saying you didn't really have a plan at that point.
No, I had no plan whatsoever. In fact, we came home, I knew my life had changed forever.
Yep.
There was no doubt about it. I remember waking up that Monday morning at the house. I couldn't sleep. Usually like 8 a.m., probably 6 a.m. I got up, couldn't sleep, walked out by the pool. I was just sitting there looking at the lake. I'm like, man, life is fucking beautiful. Like it just changed everything. And the next day, Tuesday night, I filmed a Facebook Live, went outside and just kind of told my story about what had been going on with me in the past couple of years, what had just happened that weekend. I cried. And number one, I never would have been able to cry prior to that weekend.
Yeah.
Two, had I cried, I would have been so embarrassed about crying that I wouldn't have shown my face.
Yeah.
But I was so proud about having cried online. I walked back in the house. I told my wife, I'm like, man, maybe I was just crying. And, she didn't know what I was going to say next. I'm like proud of myself that I was able to do that. And I got 4 phone calls the next day, 3 from a good buddies, cops who had all been going through it. One had a gun in his mouth in a not too distant past. He blew me away. We hear it all the time. Like, I never would have thought him specifically blew me away. Never, ever would have thought it. And then a female family friend who had been going through it as well herself. So, we talked to all of them, offered some suggestions for help. I didn't know too much at the time, just kind of telling them, what I did. But went back in the house, told my wife, I'm like, man, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
This is my path. I'm supposed to be here. That was it. Again, went kind of to the drawing board, trying to figure out what I was going to do. I had been watching a guy named Taylor Cavanaugh. He's a former Navy SEAL and French Foreign Legionnaire on YouTube when he first started dropping his videos. He was in the French Foreign Legion. So he was a Navy SEAL through his own sabotage. He ended up doing dumb shit, being drunk, getting in fights, ended up losing his trident, got kicked out of the SEALs, sat in his truck for 3 days with a sawed-off shotgun, was going to kill himself. And third day woke up and he's like, stop being a fucking bitch and man up. Sold everything he had, which wasn't much at the time, got a one-way plane ticket to France. And as you do, you literally knock on the front door of the French Foreign Legion. And he made a 5-year commitment basically to get his head straight, get himself right. Didn't know anyone, didn't know the language. It was such a powerful story to me. And,
that's a rough way to do that, but yes.
Oh, brother, I cannot even imagine.
Because he's going back to being a boot.
Yep.
I'm
cleaning toilets. And, they let him know that he was no longer a Navy SEAL.
They don't give a shit.
No, neither the command staff nor, his compatriots gave a shit. In fact, he probably got a lot more abuse because he was.
Yeah.
But the resiliency that he showed just blew me away. And ended up, he became a mindset coach / lifting and diets and everything else. But I wanted him for my mindset. Like, I'm trying to create a plan here. And I think he's the man that I need to work with. So hit him up, got on a call, and
he responded to you. See, that's amazing. I love hearing that, man.
Well, this is what he was doing as well. Like, he was
but dude, you've been in this space for a little bit. A lot of people they'll look at it. Well, let me see how many follow. They kind of want to do, and then you never hear from them again.
Oh yeah,
it's like, dude, I'm just trying to learn. Anyway, yeah. So I like those stories.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's the most humble, straight up, very, very intelligent guy. So we had a phone call, and I'm like, just tell him my whole story, and I'm like, I have no idea where this road is leading, bro. But I want you on this journey with me because I just feel like you're the man that's supposed to be with me.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd be honored. So that was it. Hired him. Started kind of formulating a plan, and literally it started with just start making reels on Instagram. And I hate social media. I'm like, fuck, man. Really? He's like, yeah, bro, this is the modern way of doing things, of building an audience. And so then furthermore, he's like, take your shirt off every now and then. I'm like, what? I'm like the most humble guy in the world, man. And he had to talk me into doing that. He's like, only wear tank tops. I'm like, dude, I'm going to look like such a dick. He's like, trust me, man. He's like, you come off genuine, man. People are going to listen to your message, but they're going to pay attention because of the way you look. So I'm like, all right. So just started, I had 160 followers. They were all friends. That was it.
Yeah.
And it just started posting reels, stories, literally, my most authentic self. I cried at the end of my mom's life. We became estranged due to my evil ex-sister. I was talking all about that openly. I was being vulnerable, and that's the greatest gift this medicine has given me.
Yeah.
And through that vulnerability, I was just having guys contact me because they realized there was no pretense. I wasn't trying to do this for money or likes or anything. I was just trying to help.
Yeah.
And it was amazing the feedback I was getting. It just, one thing, I just started getting followers. Now I've been doing this a little over a year and a half. I'm over 17,000 now. Not that it means anything, but my message resonates. And, I think people see that I'm authentic, and that's why they follow and they listen to me. as we're coming up with a plan, I said, listen, man, I want to do for other people what Sean Ryan did for me.
Yeah.
I want to start a podcast. And he said, great idea. So he ended up being my first guest. It was either January or like the very last week of last December that my first episode came out. It's called The Resilient Warrior Nation. And essentially, I bring on ordinary people who have extraordinary stories. And, we talk in depth about their lowest of lows, because my hope is that men and women are going through it, are going to identify with them. They're going to see that they can heal. I want them to get inspired. I want them to see that there's hope. There's nothing different between us and them. We're all the same, literally. I want people to see that they're not alone. That's the funniest part about this, is as we're going through, we all think we're alone. That is...
You feel alone?
It's the most ironic thing, but there are millions who are going through the same exact thing. You get a room of cops, and one guy gets up there and just decides to be his authentic self. And if he was to say, guys, I'm going through this, you know how many hands would be raised, or people will pull him aside. Maybe they wouldn't do it in front of everyone else, but like, bro, I'm going through the same thing. Like, it is an epidemic. We're exposed to abnormal stimuli. It's our body's normal response to this abnormal stimuli. So there's nothing wrong with you. If it was a physical injury, we ask for help, no one would ever bat an eye. But when you raise your hand asking for mental health, holy shit, heads turning sideways, stigma kicks in. I was talking to one Green Beret. He was on 11 medications. We were at a first responder / vets only ayahuasca retreat. And he's like, Mike, I was on 11 meds before I drank. He's like, I'm on nothing and I will never be on anything again. I said, let me ask you a question. When you tell your friends, or you used to tell them that you were taking 11 meds, no one probably batted an eye. But the second you spoke about ayahuasca, didn't their fucking heads turn? He's like, exactly. Yeah. He's like, they're looking at me like I'm out of my mind. Like 11 medications is normal, but ayahuasca, which has been around for thousands of years, is not.
So
we're brainwashed.
I'm unpacking stuff in my brain, but what made you come up with Resilient Warrior Nation? There's thought to that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to come up with a name that fit me. I feel like I've shown resiliency in my life. I've overcome obstacles. Obviously, every obstacle I've faced, I'm still here. Yeah. And I consider myself a warrior. That has been a common theme I've gone through ayahuasca journeys 11 times. And the universe has told me over and over, you're a warrior. No matter when you would have been born, you would have been a warrior. I remember in a few of them, I was with American Indians, and I have no association with any Indian. And we were going to battle, and they were putting face paint on my eyes and, putting like arrows. I don't know what they would call it, but like the arrow thing on my back. Yeah. Like we were getting ready to rock and roll. And it was the universe telling me, like, this would have been you then. This is you now. It doesn't matter when you would have lived. Like, this is you. And that's the way I feel.
Isn't that interesting that you come to this revelation at this point in your career?
Yep.
All the shit that you've done, all the shit that you've seen. And this is when that kind of... you had the clarifying moment post-career. Yep. Well, I mean, I guess you're starting your second career now. You're a podcaster now.
Exactly. Yeah, but post 30 years and in post-career is when I first started thinking about this stuff. It's amazing.
That's wild. Yep. So I want to touch on some other stuff too. What else have you... It seems like you're very open. I guess I'll lead this one, ETMS, because I've been trying to get somebody, because I've heard about it. It seems to be Florida, or at least that's where I'm getting it from. I don't know where else it is. I'm interested in it. I've actually been trying to get somebody from ETMS to come on, but they're like growing so fast, and they have it's hard to like pin them down. What was that experience like for you, and what is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
From your perspective.
So first of all, after we're done with this, I'll have to hook you up with Danny Alvarez. He's a Florida state legislator, a veteran himself, and he's been a huge proponent of this treatment. He received it himself. He'd be a great guest for you to speak about. Yeah, so it's transcranial magnetic stimulation. Mm-hmm. And what happens is your body gets magnetic waves sent through it, and it stimulates the brain to start functioning more efficiently. They did a scan on my brain, and you could see in the frontal lobe there wasn't that much activity, and that's what they're hoping to kind of reverse.
How did they do that? I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, no. They had a little helmet on me. It almost looked like an MRI scan. I'm not sure the device that they put on. It wasn't an MRI, but it was MRI-like. And, you could see your brain. You could see it, lighting up, the different hemispheres of the brain and when they were working. Excuse me. And apparently mine is typical of someone who was in a high-stress occupation for years, because this is what happens. And we're trying to increase the activity of that frontal lobe.
Yeah.
It's provided for free of charge for active or former military veterans and first responders in Florida. It's also used in the civilian world. I was just talking to the practitioner today. So she said in the civilian world, insurance will pay for it after 4 different SSRIs and antidepressant medications have not worked for a patient. So you have to go through that first.
Oh, frustrating. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of SSRIs, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, not at all.
This isn't that show. And I'm not a doctor or anything like that. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Not at all. So, I spoke to my buddy Doug White, our mutual friend, who received it. He told me it was fantastic for him. He said sleep-wise, it just corrected his sleeping. He can never sleep. Said he sleeps like a baby now. And that occurred I think after the 4th treatment, though it's 20 treatments, essentially 5 days a week for 4 weeks in a row is the way they want to do it. And then I spoke to Danny Alvarez. He saw great results. It supposedly works fantastic for depression, anxiety issues, BIs, PTSD, sleep disorders. And I just heard nothing but good things about it. So it's free. I'm like, listen, why would I not do this?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a time commitment. I have to drive to Miami every day. So I don't know, hour and 15, possibly an hour and a half each way, but I don't care. For the first time in years, I don't know what it was, but I remembered having a dream. I have a dream that in literally years.
Yeah.
I had one the other night. So it was funny. I told the tech, she's like, I'm going to start crying. I'm like, why? She's like, it's working. So she's like, I love hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She's like, I'm like, all right, fantastic. Bring it on.
And just to be clear, there's no meds with this. It's all just whatever the machine is that they're using.
Yeah. None
Again,
whatsoever.
I'm not asking you to get down to the science of it. I'm just the experience of it.
Yeah. Yeah, not at all. It's just they put this little device, they just bring it to your head and you just feel it's almost like a little shock that's going through every. So it's a 5-second cycle. There'll be a 20-second pause, and then a 5-second cycle goes again. I think you do that for a total of like 34 cycles, so it's 17 times. And that's it. So far, I just finished my 7th treatment today. I think maybe I'm sleeping a little bit sounder. Now, I take an edible to sleep at night. I tried cutting it in half the other night. I couldn't fall asleep, so I finished it. But my goal is to not need an edible every night. I don't. To me, I can't believe it doesn't dull my brain. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want to have to need anything to sleep at night. I also have sleep apnea. I use the machine every night religiously. Some people have not noticed, but have found that they don't need the machine any longer. That would be miraculous. I'm actually scheduled for an ibogaine treatment, ambio, down in Mexico. Beginning of March.
I was going to ask if you tried that yet. Okay, so you're about to.
We'll talk about that, but hopefully that's cured some people of their sleep apnea, which would be miraculous if it does.
Dude, I've heard it's cured a lot of different things. I mean, again, when I say I've heard it on podcast stuff, Joe Rogan being the biggest one, but I've heard other people talk about it and the success. And anyway, dude, you're going for it. You're like, fuck it, I want to try it.
Yeah, I want to try it. I want to see. I want to try everything. Hopefully they all work. I told you before, I'm LSD right now. I'm going to try that. And I am fervently anti-drug my whole life, but I'm not using this to get high. I'm using this to go deep, introspective. Supposedly it heals your brain. It causes neurogenesis, neuroplasticity. I definitely suffered some cognitive damage doing those painkillers. I used to be so sharp, man. Joke-wise, I'd be just one after the other. Now I notice 1 or 2 seconds off. So by the time the timing's everything. So half these jokes are gone by the time it comes to me. I'm like, damn, man. So it's kind of changing my personality in some respects, which I hate. So I'm hoping that it corrects itself, which would be fantastic. But, additionally, I want to be able to talk to other guys and girls about all these treatments. Like I tried this. These are the results that I realized from this. This is, the protocol. This is how you do it. Like everyone's got a million questions. Yeah. And mostly these are unknowns. So, what do we know? We just, law enforcement or cops, whatever, firemen. We don't know these things. So I want to be able to answer these questions.
Yeah. Just to kind of not bring the energy down, there's somewhere between 700 and 900 suicides in the profession a year, first responders as a whole. And a lot of those, as I'm sure don't get written up that way because they try to help them save their save face, save their pension, save life insurance, whatever. They'll say it was a accidental discharge or whatever. So the numbers are even higher. Again, medications aren't working. So, I'm completely fascinated with these alternative measures and the ETMS one because there's no meds, it might not have the same stigma as an ayahuasca or an ibogaine or a psychedelics, right? Because it's like I'm not taking anything.
Exactly.
I think if it's showing actual success and not just something that's being pushed by some big industry, which doesn't feel that way at all. Everyone I've heard is from Doug White, people like that who are these are just normal guys. These aren't These aren't people worth $500 million with a big industry. It's none of that shit. They're just like, dude, I think it works. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. They're just trying to live a better life. They want to be happy, correct maybe a condition here and there. So these are the men and women that you want to talk to, not medical personnel, so to speak, who are involved making money.
Yeah, correct. And last touch, I just want to touch on the psychedelic stuff. This is prescription-based, treatment-based. How are you getting connected? I guess, let me back up. Not that specific. How are you getting hooked up with these different treatments? A group you're in? Or are you just seeking it out? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so in terms of ayahuasca, I am now affiliated with a place called Earth's Embrace. So if you guys want to check it out, it's embrace.org. It's a great website. My buddy Matt and Gretchen Smith, he and his wife opened up a facility of their own. Matt's a former Marine, so me and my wife go there, hold space, volunteer periodically. There's another organization called Inekawa, Inekawa. I think it's .org. They're going to be based in Orlando. They just bought some space. So through the church, their church, you're able to receive those sacraments legally. So there's no problem, no issue with, any illegality. In terms of what I just mentioned, LSD, that's another story. But ibogaine is legal in Mexico. It's not legal anywhere in the U.S. I think Texas just passed the bill to study it, but I don't think it's legalized anywhere yet in the U.S. So I'll be going to Ambio Life Sciences. Now, actually, a great documentary just came out, In Waves and War. I don't know if you heard of it, but check it out. It's on Netflix, In Waves and War. Yeah, it's a story of 3 SEALs, Marcus Capone, DJ Shipley, and Matty Roberts, all Team 6 guys. No, Matty was Team 6. But it's their story of coming home, essentially broken men from war and the healing using ibogaine. So I'm going to be going to that facility, Ambio Life Sciences, and beginning March in Tijuana. So I'll be flying down to San Diego, and they pick us up and drive us over the border. I'm so looking to that flow into the ibogaine. Additionally, I applied through fund.org. Angela Scudin started an organization. Her husband, Casey, was an FDNY firefighter. Unfortunately, tragically, he was killed his birthday weekend. They went away to Asheville, North Carolina, and a tree fell on him in front of his family, killed him. But
holy hell.
Yeah, bro. Unbelievable. This guy is an FDNY firefighter and dies that way. It's amazing. Yeah. But she decided to honor his legacy and started his beautiful foundation. And they sponsor men and women to first responders and vets to go. I think it's first responders only to go to Ambio. Oh, typically it's $8,000 for a civilian, $1,000 for a first responder. Through 343 fund, it's $5,000, and then you get another $5,000 pre and post integration calls and teachings with their personnel, which is one of the most important things you can do. The medicine alone does not heal you. It essentially just breaks down walls to let you see things that you never saw, see things differently, maybe transport you to another dimension. It does what it does, but it's not responsible for healing. Everything, number one, is inside you. But the integration, what you do afterwards, is more important than even taking the journey itself.
It's almost like you're reading my mind, because that was my next question, was all these treatments you're talking about. I'm hearing that maybe you shouldn't buy it, do it at home by yourself.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's sacred medicine. And with that, you need to set intentions. You need to be in the right setting. You need to be around the right people. This has been used for thousands of years, and it's not something, first of all, you don't get high. So, people talk all the time about it being a drug. It's not a drug. It's a plant-based medicine. You're not going to get euphoric. Some of these trips are some of the most profound pain you're ever going to see. It's not uncommon to hear people screaming, crying. I mean, there's profound healing going on, but it is from profound pain. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm not naive by any stretch of imagination, but I never realized the amount of men that have been sexually abused. It is astronomical. Holy cow. Because you'll hear in integration people talking about their story, what brought them there, how their journey was, what their plans are going forward. But the amount of sexual abuse that is spoken about by men and women, it's incredible. Human beings are disgusting. Men, I was telling my wife, thank God when I was a young kid. When you're a young kid and essentially helpless, man, anyone could take advantage of you.
Yeah.
I've spoken to some ferocious motherfuckers in life who were sexually abused as kids, and you would never think it because you're looking at him now as this grown man who's fierce as could be, but he was that helpless little child before. Man, some of the stuff is it's heartbreaking, gusting, but you need to heal just from childhood trauma. I never gave what I went through any credence. No, I didn't think it was anything I had to heal from. Now looking back and speaking to guys I used to work with, we never spoke about our relationships with our dad. I ask intentionally, every podcast I do, how was your relationship with your dad? Because almost to a man, it was not good. There were definitely some outliers who had great relationships with their dads. For example, in Waves of War, although those three guys had traumatic childhoods growing up. A lot of time that's what propels us into these careers, either because we think we're going to stop evil, we don't like bullies, we want to, fortify ourselves to never let anyone abuse us again, whatever the case may be. But supposedly the ACE test, which is adverse childhood experiences, if you take that test, first responders and military veterans score like 20% above typical normal people. We definitely experienced trauma prior to these careers, and we have never dealt with it. It's something we need to heal from.
Damn. I didn't realize that. Anything you want to leave with, sir?
No, just to say once again, if you guys or girls are going through it, you are not alone. I promise you. Don't compare yourself to others because no one's got to figure it out, man. Everyone thinks everyone else has it figured out. There's fucking no one on this earth that's got to figure it out. Don't care how rich you are, how strong you are, how good looking you are. No one's got to figure it out. I was talking to Tyler Cavanaugh one night about that specific fact. He's like, Mike, 2 guys I'm thinking about now, former Team 6 guys, got out, thriving businesses, thought they had everything going, not a care in the world, both of them crashed and burned. He's like, that's when I realized no one's got the shit figured out. As Goggins says, we're all fucked up. It's just a degree to which we let people see how fucked up we are. So you're not alone. You must let yourself be vulnerable to heal, though, because you got to be honest with yourself when you're looking in the mirror, and you're going to have to be honest with others, possibly at some point, but with yourself alone. And if you're not vulnerable, you're never going to be honest. And I couldn't do it without the medicine. Thank God for the medicine, because that's the biggest thing I've taken away. And I will carry that vulnerability with me. To me, it's like the greatest gift that the universe has given me, that I'm able to now be vulnerable and speak with other men to show that I don't compare myself to him in any stretch, any way or form, but I want to do for others what Eddie Penny did for me. And that subconsciously I'm watching this warrior speak, and I was given permission to cry. I now know that's what happened. And I would love for someone else who's watching me to get that same feeling, let it go. And then he raises his hand because he realizes he needs help. We all need help.
Mike Morgan, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.